Here we go. You're from Michigan, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So how was it? How was it living over there?
I like Michigan a lot. I lived all over the state, grew up in a couple really, really small towns up there. I hate the winter, so Texas was definitely had a leg up in that area.
Yeah. So by small town, what was the smallest town you lived in?
I lived in McBain, Michigan. I think around the time I graduated high school, it had a population of about 600 people, something like that.
So what was the graduating class? Like 20?
Well, I went to the Christian school in town. There was a Christian school and public school, and my class had
Good.
26 people in the graduating class, all of whom I'd been in school with since like third grade.
By the way,
You know,
that was a good guess on my part. Just
yeah,
that, I
really
mean,
close.
it was really close. It was really good.
Yeah.
So in these small towns, what were you doing for fun?
I had a band, and we were like pretty much the only band in town from about the time I was 13. Other than that, I mean, I was involved with a lot of church stuff. I played music in any possible way. I played in like the local youth orchestra. I went to like jazz band camp in the summer. We skateboarded, but it was pretty flat. I didn't get very good at skateboarding up there at all.
That's good, man. No hills, no worries. The thing, yeah,
Right.
it's so
No
fun to
parks
shoot down a
here.
hill. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so fun to shoot down a hill, but then you got to go back up, which is the issue.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I still suck at skateboarding. I was just playing Tony Hawk, though. I'm pretty good at Tony Hawk. So,
I mean, and if that's not true skateboarding, I don't know what is.
right.
So, I mean, so you're playing music mostly. That's what you're really gravitating towards.
Yeah, really. I mean, since I was really, really young, I come from a super musical family. So, yeah, vocals, like singing was the real thing in my family. We were big choir people, musical theater people, church singing groups, praise band, the whole deal.
Both your mom and your dad.
Yeah, well, my dad died when I was a little kid, so but he was also a singer, and then like my mom remarried into another guy who was really, really big into choir, and yeah, we were at church like 3, 4 times a week doing music stuff, and ended up playing guitar and church band and stuff. So
I mean, that's a large amount of time to be in the church.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Are you still religious now?
Spiritual, very spiritual, yeah, but I don't go to church anymore, and it was a lot for me.
At least not 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah, exactly. I
Cutting
was
that down.
really, I was a really conservative upbringing and stuff. I mean, I was allowed to, like, I was like the punk kid in my school, for all the 100 kids in my school. I was like the one with pink hair and like, the first kid with skinny jeans and like the first kid with the band and all this stuff.
You're
But
just bringing all of it to town.
yeah,
Hey, watch
exactly.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think I mean we did like the mock elections at the end of senior year, and I think I was elected like most likely to leave McBain, which I moved out the day after graduation and never went back really.
Really?
Yeah.
I just the day after.
Yeah, I had a minivan at the time. I just packed up and left and went and stayed with a bunch of different musicians I knew all over Michigan, and yeah, yeah, I
Man,
was I was out right away.
the next day, like graduating, whatever. All right, and then you're out.
Yeah, it was pretty much like you can stay in town and get a job or, go to college. I wasn't sure about college. I definitely didn't want to stay in a small town. So yeah, I was gone.
I
But
mean, man, you were really about it, man.
yeah, I ended up staying with this like Christian Prague sort of hardcore emo band. I mean, this is 2008 we're talking, so there wasn't much going on except for emo, especially in the Midwest. Yeah, I ended up just like couch surfing with a bunch of sort of progressive minded musicians and kind of forming my own ideas about music and what it means to be in a band and stuff. Like I had no idea how like the music industry worked at all the way through high school. I had like a home recording setup from the time I was like 14, 15 and I mean, we didn't have internet. Like I had no frame of reference whatsoever for what it was like to do this professionally.
I mean, but you just fall into it, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, with the recording stuff, like I taught myself everything that I could. I mean, this is before like I didn't have a laptop until like, 2008, I guess. And before that, I had like this little Tascam digital Porta Studio thing that I tried to figure out how to use. And like, yeah, it was pretty interesting. Me and my friends did a lot of really cool stuff given the circumstances that we were in, I think.
That's awesome, man. Were you generally a good kid with this Christian upbringing and going to church all the time?
I think so. I mean, it was a weird time in the world, and just I don't know. Like I had always felt like I had a bigger town mindset, like I wanted to get to the city and like be involved with the music scene as soon as possible. So
What was the nearest big city to you?
Grand Rapids, and I ended up living there for 6, 7 years before I moved to Austin. Played in a lot of different bands there.
What was the rent? Were you looking
Oh
at
gosh,
when you first moved in the first
like
place?
$250 a month or something. It would be like downtown
Steep,
Grand
dude.
Rapids. Yeah, I know, right? Had all these huge Victorian houses that had like, 6 to 10 people living in them, and basements with practice spaces. Like when I moved to Austin, there's no basements in Texas for some reason. I mean, because the water table and whatever reason. And I was like, how do people practice here? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
my entire musical existence was basement oriented
Living
at
in the
that point.
basement.
Yeah, totally.
What was your first job you had?
My first job was on a dairy farm in high school, which I absolutely hated. Waking up at 4 in the morning and going to milk cows before school, and then back to the farm after school, milking cows again, then going home, doing homework, recording, doing whatever. Yeah, that was probably still the worst job that I ever had. It really turned me off to jobs in general, I think.
I
And after
mean,
that.
but you're getting out there, man. It's early. That's like a man. I would try. I would like to try that out, dude. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I mean,
So
I love the cows. Like the cows were the best part of the job for sure. But I don't know. The whole community I'm from is like absolutely dairy. Like that's the only future really for most of the kids there. So.
that's it.
Mhm.
What about have you explored other elements of milk, as in almond and whatnot? Now,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not a milk guy anymore. But let me tell you, like that's all we had growing up. My mom would buy like 4 gallons at a time. It's like we are drinking this milk. It's like the economy in our town depends on us drinking as much milk as possible.
you got to do your part, man.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the first concert you went to?
Oh man, it would probably be in middle school. We went to some huge Christian festival and saw Reliant K, who was my favorite band at the time. I mean, my favorite bands really were Green Day and Blink 182. I'm not gonna lie, but I wasn't really
Sick.
allowed to listen to them.
No, no.
We're talking 2004. Like I didn't know. I had the radio and that was about it. Like we were the last family I knew to get the internet. And like,
So
yeah.
you were 14 at the time.
Yeah, this huge Christian festival, and yeah, I saw Reliant K, my favorite band at the time, and this huge mosh pit. It was terrifying. It was like I was like, I thought this was a Christian festival, and like these kids were like trying to crush each other to death. Yeah,
Do you have any siblings, by the way, or is it just you?
yeah, I'm the youngest of four.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mhm.
So what are your other siblings? Are they still based in Michigan?
My two brothers who are in the middle, they live really close to my mom and both involved with farming and that kind of stuff. Like not necessarily farmers, but doing construction on farms and like driving truck and stuff like that. And my sister lives in Anchorage, Alaska, and is a speech pathologist.
That's tight. She's like, yeah, I'm moving, but I'm not
Yeah,
moving anywhere big. No, fuck
right.
that.
No.
Less.
Yeah, no, I still really need to visit her up there. That would be amazing.
That's cool, man.
Mm.
Yeah. So you weren't a big fan of the weather.
No, not at all. Yeah. I mean, just everything shuts down. And even like being in bands in Grand Rapids and stuff, like the music scene shuts down in the winter. There's like not much going on. Like everybody just goes into hibernation, starts writing and recording, and then a bunch of new cool stuff comes out in the spring, but it's not really like a sustainable cycle as far as I was concerned. I was like, I don't want to do anything in the wintertime. Like I don't even want to get out of bed, you know?
Right. So I mean, since you're from such a small community of people that are like producing and making their own music, I mean,
Mhm.
would you knew everybody who was in the scene at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was probably, it always seemed like it was the same, like, you know, few dozen people that were in every band and starting new bands. And it's like, is this really a new band? Because I've seen you guys play in other bands before. It was very isolated, and it seemed like not a lot of people were interested in being bigger than that until I met Heaters, who were, I don't think they're not a band anymore, but they're really good friends of mine that lived on the other side of a duplex from me and Reno, who plays keyboards in Nightmare Band now. We lived with those dudes, and they were like the first band that we were friends with that is like, we're going to be a real band. They got signed to a great label. They toured all the time, and we're like, we could do this, you know. But yeah, and then we ended up meeting Holy Wave through them, and that's where the Austin connection started.
Yeah, Holy Wave is awesome.
Yeah, they're so great.
Fantastic. I remember I picked up actually maybe I didn't pick up their tape yet, but it was on YouTube, and you know how if you're listening to an album, like there's, you know, the stuff, I don't know if the viewers of this would understand, but when you're on YouTube right now, there's going to be a bunch of videos to your right there, and Holy Wave was always, it was the relax one with the hands, and I was like, all right, I keep on seeing this, and then I clicked on it. It was great. It was amazing. And then,
that record opened my mind so much, for sure.
Yeah, really, really great, and highly recommend it to anybody who's listening to this right now who hasn't listened to it. It's really great, and there are other things as well. The other releases are good as well.
Yeah.
And then I figured, like, oh man, I'm never gonna be able to see them, you know, like, because they're Austin, and I'm over here in Orange County, and they actually did, they came out, and I did see them, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
they really do put on a great show. But why Austin? Why was it?
I think, well, I mean, the weekend that we met Holy Wave, they had a day off between I think it was Chicago and Detroit, and they happened to meet one of my housemates at the show in Chicago, and she was like, oh, we have a day off, or I think they had like the whole weekend off or something. It was like, or maybe it was like a Sunday and Monday. It's like, come to Grand Rapids and play a show. And we set it up, and they played like the next day, and it was packed out. It was amazing. Ended up staying at our house, and then yeah, I was like, these guys are really cool. If there's more people like this in Austin, that's where I want to be, for sure.
Man, that's awesome. So how long did it take you to finally like get it together? Because I know you moved quick on moving, man. Was it the next day?
No, not the next day, not that time. But it was, I mean, it was kind of like a drop of the hat thing. It was really like, I had just gotten really fed up with Grand Rapids. I'd been in like a couple bad relationships that I was ready to get away from. I thought that I got pretty much everything out of the town that I could. I was playing in a doom metal band at the time called Knife Ritual with a guy, Ryan Hagan, who ended up playing guitar in Heaters later on. And that wasn't really going anywhere for me. It was kind of a limiting genre, you know. It's like very much, you have to play by the rules, like loud, heavy, you know, dark lyrics, smoke a lot of weed. Like that's all you're really allowed to do. Wear denim jackets, you know what I mean?
Yeah. In that dark shade of denim, no light shit, maybe medium, but that's it, dude.
Yeah,
that's it.
And it's all about the patches, and yes. And at the time too, I mean, this is probably like, let me think, like 2013 or something, and like doom metal was having a huge revival at the time, and we definitely rode that wave. I was playing drums and singing, and I mean, it was super fun, but it wasn't like something I wanted to do for a long time. And I kind of just dropped everything, moved back in with my mom for a couple months, and started working on farms again to save up money. And then yeah, I was off to Austin. I'd never been here before, you know, barely knew anybody at all. Had one friend that needed a roommate, and so I was like, I'll just do it. And yeah, within a couple months, I was playing with Lake of Fire, who were friends of Holy Waves from El Paso. They all kind of grew up together and stuff. And so Holy Wave got me in playing drums with them.
Yeah, and this is really worked out, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty amazing how quickly everything came together.
Did you drive out here or out there rather?
No, I flew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Starting from scratch.
The acoustic guitar and a bag, and had a stack of records shipped out, and that was about all I had. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
I have all of this shit that people won't see behind me, but you can imagine.
The people will see it. They'll see it. It looks good, man. Yeah,
Where do
yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
We're here, man. We're here, dude. Yeah. Give them a thumbs up or something. I don't know, man. But
Hey.
yeah. There you go. That's a double. That's a double. So now they're gonna look for sure. But when it's on SoundCloud, it's gonna be an issue. But just watch the video, I guess. I mean, that you're really starting from scratch, though, man. That's really really cool. And how old were you at the time? Like what, 20?
No, I was probably like 24 when
Oh,
I moved to
24.
Austin, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it was 2014. I was born in 1990, so that's how I always, yeah, I must have been 24.
Right, man. I mean, that's the time to do it, right? When you're
Mm-hmm.
young, it's fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was probably the best decision I've ever made. I can't imagine anything this successful happening in Austin. I mean, it's not like we're crazy successful yet, but like at least I can do this as a job, you know. This is all I do is make music.
That's awesome, man. That's a good position to be in. A lot of people aren't in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm broke as fuck, but like, you know, it's a better being broke as fuck and doing exactly what I want to do than working at a coffee shop or something.
So how did
It lasts. I mean, I'm not promising this is like the end.
right, but enjoy it right now. That's
Exactly.
happening.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. So
Mhm.
how'd you go about setting out to get a car? Do you have a car now?
No, I'm not really a car guy. Well, we have a tour van, but
Okay.
I'm not really a car guy. You know, I've had a few cars in town and they always just break down and I end up scrapping them. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm not a car dude at all.
So but I mean, you drove to Michigan, correct?
In Michigan, yeah,
Yeah.
I had a car for a while. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know. Oh, sick, a lizard. There's a lizard outside my window.
Dude, you love Austin, man.
I do, yeah. I love lizards. There's no lizards in Michigan.
Austin and lizards. That's it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's rad, man.
Sorry, I just got distracted by this lizard outside.
No, I like it, man. That's good, dude. You're really living what you want to live. That's sick.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna take it for all it's worth. After the pandemic, honestly, it was like because I was working for a long time. I worked at Hotel Vegas, the venue here in town, um, which was cool, but a little bit much for me after like 3 years working South by and stuff. Like it's a huge South by venue, and I was doing like security management, coordination type stuff. Um, and yeah, I after the pandemic, I just really didn't want to go back to that kind of scene, you know. And there's still, I feel like there's some like resentment about how quickly musicians were just like, you're done, you know what I mean? Like I still carry that a little bit. It's like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, you know, just do this and see how long I can do it.
Right.
Like, you know, I know there's like a work shortage and shit right now, but I'm like, this is my life, you know. This is for those that year and a half, this is all I did was sit in here and record shit. So
And so I mean, you really produce a lot of stuff. Like you really put that to
yeah,
use.
yeah, this new record, Music is Dead, is just the tip of the iceberg. I have a lot more stuff. We'll see
That's
if Cassie
awesome.
wants to put it out or not, but
Yeah, that's rad, dude. So when did you start Nolan Potter's Nightmare Band? When did the inception of that come about? Was it still in
um,
Michigan or out in
no, it was in
Austin?
Austin after playing with Lake of Fire for quite a few years. I guess it must have been 2017 that we started the band. I was living with Jason McNeely at the time, who's the owner of Hotel Vegas and the guy that like sets up a lot of the shows and stuff. Um, and yeah, he was letting me use a lot of his gear to record and stuff. And I had all these little Bandcamp projects that I was working on. And a few people heard them and were like, this should be a live band, you know. I think the final incentive was that I did a Velvet Underground cover band with some members of Sailor Poon and Lake of Fire, and Jason from Hotel Vegas saw that, and I was singing and playing guitar for the first time. I had been on the drums for years at that point, and he was like, "You should be a front man. Like you should start your own band with all these songs you've got and blah blah blah." And then just kind of happened. It was kind of
That's
just like
awesome.
a joke at first. Our first show was it was like the kickoff night of South by 2017, I guess. 2017. And it was absolutely packed. My parents were there for some reason. my girlfriend at the time got on stage and like took her top off, and like it was the most punk rock thing I've ever done. Our very first show ever.
I'm sure your
Absolute,
parents loved
absolute
that,
show.
dude. Loved
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It's a nice
The
conversation
bartender,
afterwards.
right? Yeah, they didn't seem to. I mean, for as conservative and Christian as they are, like they didn't seem too upset. They were just excited that it was all happening for me. You know, that
That's
same
cool, man.
show, some guy kicked over my flute on accident, and I kicked him in the chest and like got super rowdy. I mean, for this like prog psych band, it was like the most punk thing that I've ever been a part of, for sure.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what Cam would have done. So that's
Right.
awesome, man.
Mhm.
What songs were you covering in this Velvet Underground cover band?
Oh man, all the standards. My favorite one to do was Venus in Furs. Uh, yeah, that's the most fun song to play and sing ever. And we were doing, you know, Run, 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 Waiting for the Man. We must have done like almost the whole Nico album,
Mhm.
and then a lot of White Light, White Heat. We did a couple things offloaded. Yeah, I'm about to do another one with members of Acid Carousel and Black Angels next month, which is going to be really fun for Sterling Morrison's birthday party, because he was
Very cool.
an Austinite, adopted Austinite. He moved here after quitting the Velvets and
Really?
went to UT here in town, got a degree in medieval literature, and then went on to be a tugboat captain in Houston. It just has the craziest story. And all the time he was playing with like Austin bands and stuff, like local punk bands and stuff. So
That's awesome, man. I did not know that.
yeah, that's the Austin Velvet Underground connection. That's why I always love doing those songs so much.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool. So how was the first show received though after after all this mayhem?
And after that, it was like, because like I said, we did it almost as a joke. Like we had like 8 people in the band and we are playing all this complicated stuff, and like nobody in town was really doing anything like that at the time. And just because of that first show, it was like, well, now we have to do this. You know what I mean? Like if we can, like we haven't really played a dead show since. You know, they've always been like packed with people waiting to see what's going to happen, I guess. I mean, they've never gotten that rowdy again, but yeah, it was just like that. It's like, all right, well, we have something here, like maybe we should see where this goes. And
Right.
that ended up with Andrew from A Giant Dog and Sweet Spirit. He sent my recordings to John Dwyer from OCs, and that's how the whole Castle Face thing happened.
So that's the connection between you two.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Very nice. Yeah, good label there.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been so great to work with. It's the most chill experience ever. It's just like, you guys like this? You want to do something with it? And they'll be like, yeah, let's do something with it. All right. And then, 6 months later, we have a new record. So
That's awesome, man. When did you start playing the flute?
it must have been, I think 2015, 2016, not fairly recently. I played it a little bit in high school and in college, because I was only in college for a couple semesters, but I was in the music program and wanted to be a composer. So I was like learning as much as possible with whatever instruments I could get my hands on. But I didn't have my own flute until late 2015 probably. And I'm
Yeah.
still not very good at it. I mean, I never like had proper lessons or like anything. I just use it for tricks.
That's tight, man. Why do you think the flute isn't as prominent today as it was in previous
I mean, it's hard.
iterations
When I
of
was
the bands and stuff? Go ahead,
right,
please.
yeah, different eras. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, it was like you had to pick your instrument in 5th grade, and
Yeah.
no boys were gonna pick the flute, like it was like the cheerleader type girls that picked the flute, which I thought was strange, because like it's just an instrument, like why do the boys want to play trumpet and drums and the girls want to play flute and clarinet? Like it shouldn't matter at all. But something about it just became associated with like femininity and this whole like sexist sort of vibe about it. And so, I mean, I think I would have picked it up sooner had somebody shown me like Jethro Tull or Peter Gabriel or all these people at a younger age. But I think Jethro Tull was the first time that I was like, wow, this is a fucking badass instrument, actually. There's a lot of things you can do with it. And then went on to learn more about, like Herbie Mann and like all these jazz flute players too. And like Coltrane even played flute a lot, not so much on his recordings, but he would play it at home to practice a lot because it has basically the same fingerings as a saxophone. Um, yeah, and when I found out the jazz potential of flute, I was like, I definitely want to do this now.
That's tight, man. That's awesome that you're integrating it into your own use
Yeah, I
as
wish that
a
play it.
non-conventional
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely. Yeah, it should be more conventional. I mean, the hard part about it is that it's so quiet compared to a rock band that it takes a weird kind of technique to like rise above without like being too shrill. But
Sure.
I'm still getting the hang of that. And
Yeah.
people,
How are you doing that? Are you putting up to the mic?
yeah, I try and keep, well, I mean, technically you shouldn't have it like more than like a couple. I'd say like for recording, I try and keep it like 6 inches away or so. But at a show, it's just like I can't hear myself. So I get right up in there and the flute's like touching the mic and it gets, yeah, it can get out of control. Plus, I'm running it through effects and stuff. And
And some dude's kicking it over and you gotta kick him in the chest.
exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
keep it up higher now, farther away from the audience. So
That's awesome, man. Yeah. When you're developing songs or trying to work out an idea for a song, what instrument are you gravitating towards first to get the basis of the song down?
it really depends. A lot of stuff starts with keyboards nowadays with my piano, which is not in this room. I can't fit it in here anymore. But yeah, my piano or guitar. I mean, I'm primarily a guitarist. Like back, that was the first instrument I started on when I was like 10 or something. I mean, I guess that's not true. I did take piano lessons before that, but guitar was the first instrument that I was like, this is my sound. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like one with this thing, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. A lot of times I'll just come up with a melody or something first, and then whatever seems to be the quickest way to lay it down, whatever's within reach, you know?
Right. Right. When you're writing, is it a collaborative effort between your band members, or is it just solely you and you have people work on something sometimes?
Well, I mean, it's all changed since the pandemic. I feel like we were more collaborative before. Our first record was stuff that I'd written it all already, and recorded it at home and put it out on Bandcamp, and then picked like the best songs from that and morphed it into a Nightmare Band record. That was a really collaborative process. Like I didn't have much control over the mixing end of things or like even some of the arranging stuff. Like band members were going in the studio without me and adding stuff, and it was really cool. Um, but yeah, I'd say, I mean, the way that we develop stuff now is through the live shows. Like I'll take something to the band, like learn it just like the recording. Over the next few months of playing shows, it becomes something else, you know?
Oh wow! So it's really starting from one point and ending in a completely different direction.
Yeah, there's a lot of improvisation involved. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many guys, and we do kind of have like a revolving door sometimes. Like we'll lose somebody and gain somebody else, and then like have to teach it all to them, and they put their own spin on it. So it's mostly like the music is definitely my domain. You know, like I'm the one that keeps track of where we're at with each arrangement, like what the next version of the live version of the song is going to be. Yeah, I mean, I think that as we play more together and as we tour more, that it'll become more collaborative for sure. I'd love to do something that we just improvise completely all together, like two sides of a record, like a Bitches Brew type thing.
Yeah.
But we're not quite there yet. We just don't have the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you believe that like that was the best Miles Davis like was later on when he's like really experimental or more?
It's definitely my favorite era for sure. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
love the quintet when Coltrane was in the band and everything,
Mhm.
like the cool jazz era.
Right.
But that, I
Bill
mean,
Evans.
yeah, absolutely. But the boundaries that he was pushing at that point, and I love too that it was so much like he just put the band together and let them go and do whatever they want, and then he'll like wait 5 minutes until he steps in and just does like a couple little high notes way up there with the wah pedal, you know. It's like this is Miles Davis's band, but it's not. It's like fully collaborative effort, you know.
Yeah.
um yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I
era for sure.
I kind of had to turn my mind on for that more, you know, than like whatever kind of blue, you know, or the older
exactly.
stuff.
It's music for musicians for sure, you know.
Yeah.
Like you have
and
to
nobody else is allowed to listen to it at all.
Exactly.
You can't get into it if you're not playing the
No. You have to be in the club.
Yeah. It's a select few, so sorry, bro. I picked up this random Miles Davis tape at a swap meet kind of recently, and I didn't know it, and I picked up one that I did know, and it was kind of not in the Bitches Brew era. It was more, he was still implementing like electric guitar in it, but it wasn't like super crazy. There was like a kind of a formulative like basis on it. It's like, okay, like it's going throughout this, you know, there's structure to it. It's not just totally go wherever you want.
In a Silent Way, was it that record?
It was yes, it was actually. It was
that's like my favorite one, honestly, because it's got that Bitches Brew vibe, but a little bit more toned down, a little bit more traditional, but still has John McLaughlin on guitar, who's like one of my favorite guitar players ever.
And it's the Peaceful is on there,
which is great.
And it's so just good. To my ears, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure I have this correct, it's just hi-hat in that, man. Which is insane. I mean, insane. Like it's just like over and over and over again.
Just the whole time. I love that tune.
So I knew about that one. I was like, great, I'll get that one. And I picked this other one, and I can't remember what it was called. I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'm just gonna take a jump on this. And it's like it's Miles Davis. It's like the most popular jazz musician ever, you know, or one of, you know. And then I ended up listening to the other tape more than I did in a Silent Way, which is interesting. But like, yeah, so for those who come across those albums, don't be afraid to pick it up, because it's definitely good. Unless it's Bitches Brew and you're not playing an instrument, don't fucking get it. Leave it to somebody else.
Bitches Brew is the one that always gets so much attention, I think, because that cover and like the name and everything. But
it's wild. It does look pretty crazy.
Yeah,
aesthetically, it's
cool. Just so much more soulful, you know.
Sure.
Spiritual. Yeah.
And that album cover is pretty cool too. It's just him looking up. Which is tight.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it to be as experimental as it is. It's like right in the sweet spot between, you know, classic Miles and then like the 70s evolution that he went through.
Yeah, it's crazy. Have you heard Dave Brubeck's version of Bitches Brew?
Oh, I didn't know that he did that. No.
Could you imagine that, dude? That's too far out, dude.
I can't imagine anybody doing a version of anything on that record. Like, what do you cover? Like,
you should try it, dude. You should try it.
I kind of did already on Eggbound. I don't know if you listened to Eggbound. Is this tape I put out a couple months ago, but it right at the end it has this like 10-minute free jazz freak out that I did. I mean, it's not well played or anything. It's just my attempt at doing that kind of stuff. And it was just me, like, I think I recorded drums first just to a click, and then put bass to that, and then piano on that, and without learning what I had done at all, just going straight on to the next thing. And it kind of has that similar vibe. I would really love to bring that into a live situation with the band, but it also, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like we are like 7 white dudes, you know, like I'm not trying to be a full-on jazz band or anything, but we do really love jazz a lot.
Right. So when did you start to develop your own sense of like taste in music outside of like Christian rock stuff and like the things that you're implemented with when you were younger? When did you start expanding and experiencing other music?
I think the first like big revelation to me was it happened when this guy moved to our town, who was his name was Mike Ayub. He was he had been a roadie and security guy for like Yes and Genesis and Kansas and maybe even King Crimson. I don't remember, like all these bands through the 70s, mostly prog bands. And he came to town. It's a long story how he ended up there. He was from Detroit originally, but he found out that there was like this one punk band in town. And he's like, I'm going to turn these kids on to like all the prog rock that there is, you know? And like, even when he found out we were like, that we were into punk, he's like, oh, you mean like the Stooges? And we were like, who? Like, even being from Michigan, I had no idea who the Stooges were yet. But yeah, he showed us And he ended up recording my high school band and stuff. He had like so much equipment. He had a Hammond B3 in the back room that he could play the whole solo from Roundabout. Like he was obsessed with Rick Wakeman and all this prog rock stuff. And he was the first one, I think, that really like gave me something that was completely outside the realm of anything that I'd heard on the radio or anything that I'd read about in the library or whatever, you know. And that was a huge eye-opening thing. I mean, I'm still a huge fan of all those records, and yeah, that was pretty cool. We ended up becoming a much more progressive type band in high school than we were like pop punk band in middle school, you know. But again, this is early 2000s, so everything has a tinge of that emo shit,
That
you know.
angst.
Yeah, which I despise wholeheartedly now, but I'm glad we were, you know, pushing the boundaries even in our tiny little corner of the world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, somebody had to, man. You had the skinny jeans, the dyed hair, man.
That was me.
You were the person to push the envelope. Somebody's got to, dude.
Yeah. They're still doing it today. No, I'm just kidding.
And I set the standard for it that everybody has to do. Have you been back? I mean, I'm assuming you visited.
Yeah, I'll go back for Christmas and stuff, you know, but I don't feel much of a connection to anything up there except for my family and like the landscape to a certain extent. But I mean, yeah, you know, Austin is fully my home now. It's definitely the place I was always supposed to end up.
Is everything the same as you left it back there?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they definitely dealt with the pandemic in a much different way than Austin did, that's for sure.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't really change.
Yeah.
Small towns are always going to be small towns.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, it's interesting thinking about that. And you pass by these small towns, like I always think, like when I pass by small towns, like, all right, what business could I open up here that would actually like gain money from it, like that people would need to frequent? And that's always an interesting question on my part. And then I think like a gas station or something like
that's pretty much it. Yeah,
something that people need.
Yeah, and I mean, we weren't even like one of these small towns that like you see off the highway where you're just like, you drive past and you're like, oh, a town just went by. Like we were like off the beaten path, you know, like not on the way to or from anywhere. Yeah. But nearby was Cadillac, Michigan, which is a slightly bigger town and had 2 lakes that were connected by a canal. It was a huge tourist town. So that was kind of, I mean, there was like a small like high school punk music scene there, which was really, really helpful. I mean, like we actually had shows to play, you know what I mean? Which like, otherwise, if we had it would just be us like in our basement inviting people to come over or something. But like there was actually places for bands to play in Cadillac, which was really nice.
Are you glad that you came from a small town, a small area to develop the kind of music that you're making now? And
I think so. I mean, it's definitely a different approach. I think if I had gone to a bigger school and had more opportunities for music education, that I would have ended up like in the classical scene a lot more. But yeah, I mean, the music program at the school that I went to was really small. By the time I was a senior, it was just like my band director was like, here's a key to the band room, go in there whenever you want and you'll get an A. Like I learned how to play drums from doing that. Like I would go in there after school and play drums for hours and like play piano and do whatever. And yeah, it was basically like my music education was already on me at that point. And then I wanted to go to college for it and realized I was like, I like doing it by myself way better. So I don't know if the small town has anything to do with that or not, but
I think it's just you, wherever you were. That's how that would happen. That is cool though, man. So when you're writing lyrics to a song, do you try to tell a story within that whatever 2 minute to 5 minute to whatever minute time frame?
I think so. A lot of songs become it's easier to write stories about something than write about myself. I think like in those early years and stuff, I was writing a lot about myself and like things I was going through and like relationships and love and sad stuff. And it's like, this isn't really I don't feel fully like I'm expressing myself that much. You know what I mean? It's like it's not really to share with anyone, you know. But another thing I really wanted to do when I was a young kid was be a sci-fi fantasy author. I was obsessed with Tolkien and like obsessed with Star Wars and Star Trek and everything. I still am. And I think that like Nightmare Band was one of the first times that I was like, I can like incorporate that into this, you know. Uh, Now I feel like we almost get pigeonholed into that sometimes, where it's like we're not really singing about Lord of the Rings all the fucking time, you know what I mean? But like from some of the reviews that we've gotten, you'd think that was the case. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Writing lyrics, I try not to think too much and just see what happens. I have like a thing in my phone, like a notepad in my phone of just like phrases and weird words and like weird sentences that I just keep this huge list of, and any of them could be a jumping off point for a whole song, like either a song title or like the first verse of a song or something.
That you just pull from it constantly.
Yeah, it's kind of like automatic writing, or like the nugget of the song will be like an automatic, just like, you know, a knee-jerk reaction to something, and then come up with a song from there. I don't
Right.
really sweat the lyrics too much. I just want to see what happens, you know. The music is already enough work on its own.
Is there a song that you've tried to pen, or like a lyric that you try to bring in that's never made it all the way through to like the final product?
Yeah, I mean, I would usually just delete them at that point though. Like if I have the final product, I'm happy with it. Like I'll probably lose the rest, like the original. I'd have to probably dig around, but yeah, I mean, not everything makes it to the final stage.
Some things get cut, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been such a long time. I mean, relatively for me, since I like wrote a song. I've just been working on finishing up this new record, which I started before the pandemic even. It was going to be called Music is Dead before music
Music
was
was dead.
actually dead. Yeah. It was supposed to be like this tongue-in-cheek thing. And then like a few months later, it's like, oh wow, we actually can't play a show like for the foreseeable future, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I've been writing a few things here and there, but I've been really focused on getting the live band as good as we can possibly be. We've been playing a show every Friday for the last month at Far Out Lounge. We're doing this residency, and yeah, so it's really about like taking the material we've got, honing it, adding stuff to it, extending songs, putting in solos for people, writing out arrangements for like saxophone and like keyboards and stuff. Yeah, it's been a lot of sheet music going on, which I really love doing. It's like my favorite thing to work on.
That's really cool, man. So
Mhm.
when you implement something from your phone from the list of lyrics,
Mhm.
do you delete it right after? It's like, all right, that's used. Something else will fill
Not
the place.
necessarily delete it right away. I mean, I'll usually like copy paste something to a new note, and then like if I don't like it, I'll delete it from that note, and it just gets buried under the list of everything else. You know,
Gotcha.
I really should be doing this all physically, because like I change phones like, you know, once every year usually, and I'll lose all that shit. I really need to like print it out or something.
Yeah.
It's
How,
just so quick. I mean, wherever I am, you know.
sure, just jot it down real quick. How
Mhm.
old are you when you got your first phone? First phone.
My first phone, I was 17, I think.
2000.
Flip flip phone.
So high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd already been driving, because I mean, I'm from that generation, you know, that's like right between where it was like we didn't grow up having phones or internet at all,
Right.
you know. And like by the time I had my driver's license, it was like totally normal for like kids in high school to have phones, and I still didn't. I just could go out and do whatever, you know, like ride around the countryside with my friends and stuff, and nobody knew where we are, couldn't get a hold of us. I kind of miss those days a lot, but
The detachment. It's like,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You have to
Not
memorize everybody's phone number, you know.
how many phone numbers do you have memorized right now?
Well, there's mine, so that's one.
Okay.
My
It's a good start.
partner, so I've got Julie's for sure,
Mhm.
and I think my mom's. I definitely my mom's had the same one since I was like 10 years old, so that's pretty easy. So three. I've got three.
That's pretty good. That's
Mhm.
a good That's I mean that's a good range to cast. So,
Those are the only three that I really need at this point
sure.
anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
I might should memorize John Dwyer's because we do tend to talk a lot. But I can't imagine an emergency situation that I'd have to call him up for.
John, I know you're busy, but
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So where did the name Nightmare Band come from? Where did that stem from?
First, I mean, this is gonna, the few conspiracy theorists that like our band are gonna flip out, but not really conspiracy, but we've gotten a lot of comments and stuff be like, is that a Muppets reference? And yes, I'm here to say that it's officially a Muppets reference.
You're confirming it, man.
Yeah, from it's Emmett Otter's Christmas. I forget. It's a Muppets like made for TV movie from the 90s, maybe the 80s. But there's a sequence in it where there's like this heavy, like Muppet heavy metal band, and they're called the River Bottom Nightmare Band. And I always thought that Nightmare Band was like the coolest, most badass, but still like mysterious name for a band. And so I've just been calling stuff that like in my head for years, like anything that I'd write that wasn't for, you know, Lake of Fire or wasn't for whatever other band I was playing with at the time, was like, that's like a Nightmare Band song. So we'll just put those all under that file name, you know,
under a blanket term. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how it happened. I mean, it's become like it doesn't seem like, you know, it is a fitting name for like a metal band or something, but we're clearly not that at all.
Why do you think you're attracted to the music that you like?
I think a lot of it, I mean, sort of like I was talking about when I was first introduced to prog rock, was right around the time that I was really, I mean, like, I was born into the sweet spot for all the stuff that I liked. I loved Harry Potter. I loved Star Wars. I loved Lord of the Rings. You know, all these things were coming out and having huge, you know, renaissance at the time, like all the movies coming out, all this stuff. And right around that same time is when I started learning about music that had like a fantastical bent to it, a sci-fi bent. I didn't think that, I thought that like you wrote songs about yourself, you know what I mean? Like you write songs about your girlfriend, you write songs about the sad stuff that's going on. I didn't know that it could be this bigger thing, you know? And I think that's what really attracted to me to that, to like, you know, King Crimson early on. And at the time too, like there was like the Mars Volta was putting out records, Coheed and Cambria were putting out records, these bands that had like this concept that was bigger than the band, that was bigger than the record. You know, the songs were about something. You draw lines between them, you know, like with the red thread
right on one of those cork boards.
Yeah, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Like I always wanted to be a writer like that, you know what I mean? And finding out that I could merge that with being a musician was like really eye-opening thing. And I think that like Nightmare Band is definitely is like, it's all that came to fruition, you know, as like an adult, where I can see it all from a different perspective and see that it's like there is cheesy aspects to that, you know what I mean? But that's what I love. You know, it's still a very silly band.
I mean, that's cool. If you're down with the music that you make, dude, you're not just doing it for a paycheck or something, man. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
What exactly is a bedroom wizard? What does that mean, dude?
Did I put that on there?
Yeah, I think it was you that.
Oh yeah, it's on my Bandcamp.
Described it as.
That's what I do in here. This is my laboratory. Here, wait, let me do a quick.
Let's see the tour, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. My screen just got dark. Here we go.
You're still here. You're still with us.
Got Frank up there.
Yep, Frank Ocean. Very nice.
Exactly. Yeah. Famous mustachioed composer, Frank Ocean. Oh man, so much stuff. Anyway, I was recording some drums yesterday. There's my little magma wall here. One of my favorite bands of all time. Some
very keyboards.
Nice. Got some guitars over here. This is like, yeah, this is just my domain, my laboratory. I still don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have like the most amazing gear or anything. I'm not like a huge gear collector. I'm extremely poor, so that doesn't really add up, you know.
But to think, man, you came out there with nothing, and you got all this.
Yeah, I got all this. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky in Austin. There's a lot of good music rental places. So like, if there's something I don't have that I need for just like a weekend or a month or whatever, like I can usually get a hold of it. But yeah, this is Bedroom Wizard. I guess that's pretty apt. I wrote it, so.
How do you feel about the mass, exodus from other places to coming into Austin? How do you feel about that? How do you feel like Joe Rogan? It's fucking in your city now, dude.
Fuck Joe Rogan, dude. Fuck Elon Musk. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't love it, but I can't. I mean, it's hard to say because I only moved here 7 years ago, which is like half of my band was born and raised here, and I can only imagine the changes that you see in that. But even just from living here and being in the music scene and working at a venue for so long, like Hotel Vegas is like, it's my home, you know what I mean? It's where we started this band. We used to practice there before they opened and stuff, like during the day. And now it's just like in the shadow of all these condos, and like who knows how much longer it's going to be there. Like, I understand why people want to live here. It's an awesome city for being like a fairly large city. It has like so much wilderness type area, so many places to swim. It's just, it's not going to be that way forever.
So there's some aspects that remind you of Michigan.
Yeah, like I could still, the fact that I live in a city where I can have a music career but still go out to the woods, and feel like I'm like miles away from civilization is pretty amazing. I need to spend more time out, like on the green belt and stuff.
Think about how your sister feels right now, dude. Anchorage.
I know.
Out there.
She loves it.
That is cool though, man. That's like a change of pace like that, dude. Must be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
not so much for you, but for your sister, Sure. Not so much on your part.
I know she always is wanting me to move up there, but not gonna happen.
If it wasn't, sorry, please go ahead.
Imagine touring out of Anchorage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, startings.
Yeah, exactly. Like first gig, let's drive 1,000 miles, basically.
Anchorage. What's the other huge one up there?
Oh, and there's not many huge ones, but
I mean, but it's like a big name. It's a big name. It's
there's Anchorage. Fairbanks.
Yes, Fairbanks. That's like
the other. Might be the next biggest one. Yeah. That's where they have like the coldest temperature ever recorded, or something like that.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah. Really sets the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but as far as people moving to Austin, I'm not the person to tell people like, fuck you, don't move here. I moved here. You know what I mean? Like, what can I say? But I think I moved here and tried my best to like mesh myself into the scene that was already here, as opposed to like so many people that are way richer than I am moving here and expecting the city to owe them something already. You know what I mean? And that's become the general vibe in the last few years, that like all these people come, and it's like when they come to see us play and stuff, it's like they're like seeing how the other half lives. It's like we're like becoming like a zoo or something. It's kind of disturbing sometimes, but again, who am I to tell people what to do?
Yeah, I mean, besides buying Bitches Brew, but besides that, nothing
right
else.
I mean, I will gatekeep Bitches Brew for sure.
Yeah,
like, you're not gonna get this, okay? Like, you don't understand,
bro. It's not for you, dude. It's not for you, man.
Right.
Dave Brubeck's over there. Oscar Peterson. Where your speed, pal? What do you want people to take away from the music that you make?
Oh, that's a good question.
I appreciate it. I try to at least get one in during these interviews.
You got one good question so far. The others, maybe,
it's iffy. It's iffy, dude.
It's hard because I think of it. It still feels, it's kind of a selfish thing where I'm only thinking about how I feel about it a lot of the time. And then when people seem to like it, I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand. Like, if you don't listen to all the same music as I do and watch all the same movies and read all the same books, how can you even understand what we're doing up here, so it's hard for me to picture it from somebody else's perspective. Even from like the guys in my band, sometimes I'm like, why are we doing this again? But I hope that people get something bigger than just going to the average show, you know what I mean? Or like buying a record from another, local band or whatever. It's like, I want to project something bigger, that this is all part of a bigger continuity, even when I don't intend it to be. It like every song that I put out seems to link up with other ones, and like, things are like reiterated and like built upon and stuff. And that's what I want to continue doing forever.
That's awesome, man.
Hopefully that is what people get out of it, and that we're not just like some elf band with a flute player, That's what it seems like.
No, I don't know. It's bigger than that, man. It's bigger than that. What's one song that you could go your whole life without hearing again? It's either overplayed or you didn't like it to begin with.
Oh, that I could go my whole life without hearing
it? It's gone. You're not gonna hear it again.
Wonderwall. Yeah.
All right, man. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah. Oasis has had its time.
And I mean, take it from me, like I covered the shit out of Wonderwall in high school, like coffee shops, high school gymnasiums. Don't get me wrong, but
all of it.
Nobody needs to hear that anymore. We all know it. You just think about it and you've heard it. You know what I mean?
That's very true. That is very true. Well, listen, man, I like to wrap this up with some promo, and you got a lot of shit coming up. So here we go. All right. You can find Nolan Potter's Nightmare Band on YouTube and Spotify, right? And as well as Bandcamp at nolanpotter.bandcamp.com.
That's me.
You could support it there. That's one of the most direct ways to support you, correct? So it's through the Bandcamp.
That is like my main bread and butter right now. So please
go.
A lot of it is up for free. You can give me $1, give me $2, give me a cup of coffee, buy a pack of cigarettes, whatever,
Send it over.
Really appreciate Bandcamp money. It's really great.
Yeah. So make sure to buy through there, and you can buy Nightmare Forever, that album, through castlefacerecords.com. Great fucking great record label. John's terrific. Everybody over there, from my understanding, is just fantastic. So make sure to do that. And be sure to look out for Music is Dead coming out September 24th via Castleface as well, which is going to be great. And you're heading on tour with the OCs and Mr. Elevator in the Brain Hotel. Mr. Elevator, rather.
With is a strong word. We're playing 3 shows with Mr. Elevator in the OCs.
But you said with, so I mean, I'm not the first one to use it. So
3 out of 10 shows with them, yeah. Let me put it this way: we're going on tour because we're playing 3 shows with the OCs, basically.
That's great. Where are these 3 shows?
September 25th and 26th at the Warsaw in Brooklyn, New York, are with Mr. Elevator and the OCs. And then a couple of days later in Atlanta, we are also playing with them. Again, I forget the venue, but it should be really, really good.
Awesome.
And all that info's on our Instagram, and yeah. And
that's Nolan Potter's Nightmare Band, correct?
Yep.
On Instagram, no underscores, none of that. And that's perfect. So if you're living in Brooklyn, buy the album coming out the 24th, and then go see him 25th and 26th, correct?
Yep. And we'll have copies of the new record at the shows, and then we're playing again I believe those shows are sold out already. So if you can't get into those shows, we're playing again in Brooklyn 2 days. We're playing Philly on the 27th, and then back in Brooklyn on the 28th elsewhere. So there will be a chance. If you're in the New York area, there will be a chance, and we'll have those records with us. So
be sure to check out those. Not playing on the West Coast though, but that's okay. That's cool.
Not yet.
No, that's fine.
Very soon. We just got a van, so we're good to go. We've got our steed. We're ready to ride.
Well, awesome, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Is there anything else we need to promote on here?
I don't think so. I mean, everything you could possibly want to know or listen to from me is on Bandcamp. So go check it out.
Be sure to check out the Bandcamp. Be sure to go support.
We love the Spotify streams and the YouTube streams, but Bandcamp is the place.
That's the meat and potatoes.
That's my money.
Dude, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you. I'm gonna stop recording this and I'll talk to you in a second.
Cool.
All right, man.